Alin ba ho talaga ang totoo? Kayo ho ba ay tinanggal o kayo ba ho ay nag-resign?
You can answer that, Mr. Vitangco.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Congressman Chanco. Both are correct. Yesterday morning, based on newspaper accounts, the department has started its administrative inquiry, and in so doing, they have placed me under a preventive suspension. And they relieved me of my position. They appointed another OIC, but I deemed it best for everybody for me to resign instead. So, totoo po para yun na ako po ay na-relieve at ako po ay nag-resign.
So, hindi ho kayo tinanggal, kayo lang ay winilieve sa inyong pwesto. At nung nalaman ninyong kayo ay winilieve, inisip niyong mas mabuti na habang may investigasyon, mag-resign na lang kayo. Tama po yun. Secretary Abaya, tama ba po yun? Do you confirm the statement of Attorney Vitangco?
Tama po yun, but again, just want to add the fact that the GM Vitangco is a presidential appointee. And at the end of the day, a presidential act is the only act that could really take him out of office.
Congressman Tiangco, the chair will remind you that you have to address your question.
Sorry.
Chair.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
And you have 3 minutes. Every interpolator will be having 3 minutes. And if you have some more questions later, then you...
Okay, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, maaari ho bang itanong kay Attorney Vitangco kung ano ho ang relasyon niya kay Mr. Wilson de Vera at supposedly nahandoon si Wilson de Vera sa mga meeting ho ng nila at ang Inicon.
You can answer that. You can direct the question to him because you are now given the right to do so. Direct the question to him.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may. For the information of the body, I have already filed a perjury case against the Czech ambassador. This was filed before the prosecutor's office at the city of Makati. And in that particular complaint affidavit that I filed, I indicated in there all the lies that were stated by the ambassador. So, Your Honor, I categorically state that the allegations made by the Czech Republic ambassador are all lies as it pertains to me, Your Honor.
Attorney Vitangco, so ibig nyo sabihin, itinatanggi nyo na sa kahit anong meeting, wala ho doon si Mr. Wilson de Vera? Sa kahit saang pagpupulong ninyo sa Inicon o sa SEC Ambassador, minsan wala ho doon si Mr. Wilson de Vera?
Mr. Chair, ang sinabi ko po, doon po sa complaint affidavit, inilahad ko po doon lahat ng kasinungalingan na sinabi ni Czech Ambassador. Pero hindi ko po sinabi na hindi po ako nakipag-meeting sa kanila not even once. Dahil mayroon pong mga pagkakataon na sila po ay nagpupunta po sa opisina at yun po, nakaka-meeting ko po sila sa opisina. But outside of the office, hindi ko po sila nakaka-meeting.
So, liliwanagin ko lang ho, may meeting ho kayo sa inyong opisina, nahandun ho si Wilson de Vera, nahandun ho yung SEC Ambassador, at nahandun ho yung Inicon.
Iba-ibang instances po yan, Congressman Chanco, no? Yung una pong pagpunta ng Czech Ambassador doon, ito po ay courtesy call. At pwede ho ba akong tumingin sa notes ko? Kasi...
You can refer to
Feel po. Hindi, para na lang ho madali. Diretsuhin na natin. Kilala niyo ho ba si Wilson de Vera?
Nakilala ko lang po sila noong sila na po ay nasa MRT3.
Ano?
Pero prior to that po, hindi ko po sila kilala. Wala po kaming personal na relationship. Nakilala ko lang po sila noong nagpunta na po sila sa MRT3.
Ano hong ibig sabihin ninyo nung nagpunta sila sa MRT3? Ibig nyo sabihin nung nagkaroon sila ng kontrata sa MRT3 o noong proseso na sila ay nag-o-offer ng proyekto sa MRT3?
Pareho po, no? Kasi nung una po, nung nagpunta po sila doon, kasama niya ang mga taga-Inicon. So nakilala ko po siya doon. Pero prior to that, hindi ko po siya kilala. And nung mapunta po sa kanila yung kontrata na maintenance, so of course, nagpupunta-punta rin po sila sa opisina dahil we talk about things to be done. So Yun po ang nature ng pagkakilala ko po sa kanila.
Attorney Vitangcol, yung sinasabi niyo ba hong maintenance contract, ito ba ho yung napunta sa Philtrans Rail Management and Services Corporation?
At tama po kayo dyan.
Attorney Vitangcol, tinignan ko ho yung incorporators ng Philtrans. Wala ho dito yung pangalan ni... nandito pa nga pala ho si Wilson De Vera, no? As one of the incorporators. Meron hong ditong Marlo de la Cruz, meron ho ditong Federico Remo, meron ho ditong Manolo Maralit, meron ho ditong Alfred Tan Maralit, at ang isang supposedly based sa news, medyo kini-question na pangalan, yung Arturo V. Soriano. No? Ang sinasabi ho sa mga balita, ito hong Arturo V. Soriano ay tiyuhin ho ng inyong misis. Totoo ba ho ito o hindi?
Mr. Chair, Congressman Chanco, yan po ay totoo po, no? Pero qualified ko pong sasagutin yan. Yan po kasing pagkaalam ko, no? Yan pong PH Trams, yung ginawa po yan po ay designed, no? For them to submit an unsolicited proposal to MRT Corporation, which is a private corporation, with the intent to get their maintenance contract and to replace Sumitomo Corporation. I was able to get hold of the joint venture agreement between PH Trams Management and Com Builders, and it states here that their purpose of joining is for them to submit an unsolicited proposal to MRT Corporation. So,
Are you submitting that to the committee? Can you submit a copy of that to the committee?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And after that, when MRT Corporation failed to conduct the bidding for the maintenance provider, DOTC decided to take over the bidding process for the interest of the riding public. And when that happened, this joint venture again decided to participate in the bidding. At that point in time, I was made aware that Mr. Soriano was an incorporator. But during the time that they were doing that for MRT Corporation, I was not fully aware that he is involved in that particular project. So when I learned of that particular item, then I directly told him that it would be improper, both on his part and on my part, if he will continue to be a director of PH Trams. So he divested and he sold his shares to his fellow director at the PH Trams. So that at the time that the bidding was done by DOTC, then Mr. Soriano was no longer a part of that particular firm.
So we have to strictly follow the time allotment. You have almost 5 minutes. You can make your concluding question. Then persistence lang yan. If there is a need, we can come back to you.
Mr. Chairman, intayin ko lang ho yung ikot para naman maging fair sa aking kapwa-membro.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
Mr. Chairman.
have to recognize first Congressman Edgar Erize and Congresswoman Herminia Roman. The next interpolator in the list is Congressman Colmenares, one of the authors of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. De Vera muna tayo sandali. So, nakilala mo si Mr. De Vera before the meetings with Ambassador Raiktar and on the Inecon project. When did you get to know? Sige, kailan mo nakilala si Mr. De Vera?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I was introduced to Mr. De Vera sometime in July 2012, Your Honor.
July 2012?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. So, before that, were you aware that he was connected with the Enicon project or that he had the dinner with the ambassador?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. So, Mr. De Vera is also a part of the corporation which made a successful bid doon sa maintenance together with your tiyuhin. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, based on the record, Your Honor.
Okay. So, but you didn't know Mr. De Vera even during the time na kasama pala siya sa corporation that made the bid?
Your Honor, at that time, I am already aware because they submitted letters to us when they made a presentation to MRT Corporation. They, in fact, sent a copy of the letter to me requesting me to attend their presentation at MRT Corporation.
Is that another document from the one?
Yes, Your Honor. So at that time, I was already aware because he was one of the signatories in the letter, Your Honor.
Can
Thank
you
you.
also give a copy of that to the committee? Thank you. The committee secretariat will take note of that. Get a
Thank
copy
you. So,
later.
I am sure, Attorney Bitangkol, you will deny the allegation of the ambassador that Mr. De Vera made calls to you during that dinner mentioned in his affidavit. Am I correct, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yes, I categorically deny that he talked to me during that supposedly meeting with the Czech ambassador. And as far as my recollection is concerned, I think I read in one of the newspapers that Mr. De Vera stated in one of his interviews that he called his wife twice during that time and not me.
Yes. Would you be willing to allow the committee, for example, to summon the records of your phone transactions from your phone companies, Mr. Bitangkol?
Yes, Your Honor, but take note that the records for my phone will be all outgoing, not incoming calls to me.
I
So,
think if you will allow the committee, if I may, the service provider can get both of the incoming or outgoing calls. I'm sure of that.
He answered already. We can. No problem about that.
So we can. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, on that particular date.
No.
On that
Not
particular date?
just that date. Yes, you're right, Mr.
Are you hiding something?
No, Your Honor, because that
Why
would be
are you
a,
limiting the investigation only on that limited date? Because according to you, there were subsequent meetings with the SEC ambassador and other persons connected with Unicon.
The vice chair will be given that opportunity later.
Yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Actually, I was about to say those things, no? Kasi process po ito eh. Hindi ito minsanang dumating. During the period mentioned, sige na, by the ambassador, 1 month before or 1 month after the period mentioned by the ambassador, willing po kayo?
yes, you may. Your Honor.
Okay, please, Mr. Chair, I move that we do that. We make.
Secretary will take note of that. If there is a proper motion and there is a need to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now that the ambassador's affidavit and his statements in the media became public, did you try to contact Mr. De Vera?
No, Your Honor, because based on the news reports, he's already in the United States, and the telephone number that he has with me is no longer in service, Your Honor.
So there was no attempt on your part to contact Mr. De Vera at all. So when did you next see Mr. De Vera, if ever?
I cannot remember anymore, Your Honor, but it was during the time that they were with the maintenance provider, I believe sometime in
2013?
October or November of 2012, Your Honor.
Yes. By the time the ambassador has not yet mentioned about the supposed dinner in October of 2012?
Yes, Your Honor, because the news items came out in July of 2013, or a year after the alleged incident, Your Honor.
So you knew Mr. De Vera before the alleged dinner then because you met him in October of 2012. Tama po?
No, Your Honor, because the alleged dinner supposedly took place in July of 2012.
Okay.
But the news items came out in July of 2013 or a year after.
Thank you.
And PH Trams took over the contract for maintenance starting September of 2012, Your Honor.
Thank you. So the last time you met Mr. De Vera was in October of 2012. Tama. And the first time you met him? July 2012. So you knew Mr. De Vera at the time na nangyari na yung dinner. Tama po.
From July 2012, Your Honor.
So after the allegations of the ambassador, you knew for a fact that the only person who can really clear you here is Mr. De Vera, but you didn't exert any effort to find him and make him state publicly or defend you sa DOTC secretary against all the allegations of the ambassador?
I did, Your Honor, but as I have stated before, the phone number that I have is no longer working and it's not active anymore. And we heard news and we verified it that his whole family has already moved to the United States, Your Honor. And we do not know his whereabouts in the U.S., Your Honor.
So you didn't know his phone number na? Tama po?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or
I
is
have
that-
his local number here,
Yes.
which is not working.
Working. But you don't know his address also here in the Philippines?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Only in their office, Your Honor.
Only in their office?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You have used your 5 minutes.
Last question na lang. Did you check the articles of incorporation of the corporation that won the bidding, yung korporasyon ng tiyuhin niyo po? Did you check? Because in those articles of incorporation, malinaw doon yung address ni Mr. De Vera. Now, if you really exerted a lot of effort to have your name cleared, and you know, he is the one who said that he was contacting you, you could have looked at, sabihin mo sa tiyuhin mo, ay, hanapin mo nga doon yung address ni Mr. De Vera, co-incorporator mo pala siya eh. It's right there in the articles of incorporation. That's why it's impossible. Alam ko, imposible, hindi mo alam yung local address niya. Pero if you exerted effort, you would know the local address dito sa Pilipinas.
Yes, Your Honor. That's why I told you that we found out that the whole family has already moved to the United States. We did exert effort in locating him. And
Mr. Chairman, for purposes of procedure, may we request that the witness be informed that he does not personally talk to any of the congressmen and address the congressman as you, but the address in his answer the chairman. Proper decorum should be
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
sustained here.
Anyway, you were able
I have to end, no, reserve sa second round, but
Last
just the
question was there already?
concluding question.
I already made the earlier manifestation to address everything through the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And concluding ano ko lang doon is that you answered kanina that you don't even know his address here. So, but in any case, Mr. Chair, medyo mahigpit itong 3 minutes natin. So, 5 minutes. But in any case, in fairness to my colleagues, sige pa.
Para mapagbigyan natin ng mga kasama natin. May we recognize at this stage the presence of Congressman Perry Ridon and Congressman Francis Gerald Abaya, the better-looking Abaya. Agreed. May we recognize now the next interpolator, Congressman Tino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question is, well, first of all, regarding clarifications regarding the status of Attorney Vitangkol. My understanding is that the department issued a preventive suspension, Mr. Chair. May we know from the Secretary what was the basis for this preventive suspension?
Well, Your Honor, it isn't a preventive suspension. We merely relieved Jim Vitangkol of his responsibilities. We issued an order designating as OIC Joy Chaneco, the administrator of LRTA, Your Honor.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. So it was not a preventive suspension, a relief order.
Yes, Your Honor.
And-
Because, we do believe the Secretary has administrative power to reassign personnel in his department for immediate action. Again, as I've stated earlier, Chairman, Jim Vitangkol is a presidential appointee. His ultimate relief will come from the President.
And what was the basis for the relief order?
We felt as the alter ego of the president, the secretary has administrative powers to do some replacements.
What was the basis for the relief, Mr. Chair?
Actually, Your Honor, I received a interview. You mean the reason why we did so? Your Honor, because I was interviewed by Mr. Filon yesterday morning, and this question on MRT came around. Most of the issues raised, sabi ko nga, were dating gawe. I was familiar with the issue, and those have been addressed. However, for the first time, I heard of a certain relationship embedded in the contract as alleged. So immediately after that, I called the USECs, the members of the BAC, to ask them if such fact was known during the proceedings. All of them said that they were not privy to such. There's a clear responsibility of all bidders to declare such relationship. No declaration was made. Based upon that conclusion, we immediately issued a special order to assign an OIC and relieve Mr. Vitangcol of his responsibility.
That relief order was meant to be indefinite or temporary?
Well, temporary as its nature, because the issue, if we analyze it, shouldn't take that long. All we have to do is to confirm relationships and check in our documents certain dates and certain facts. So really temporary in nature, Your Honor.
So the basis was the possibly illegal relationship between the GM and one of the directors of the winning bidder. But then Mr. Vitangcol resigned, and what is the status of the resignation?
Your Honor, what was conveyed to me yesterday was the resignation letter of Mr. Vitangcol will be sent this morning. Although I was in the office late at night last night, there were already reports coming out in media that the letter was floating around, but officially we have not received the report. I reported to Congress direct from home. I have not passed by the office, and no official report yet that we have received such.
If ever the resignation will be accepted by the Secretary or the President?
It would be the President, Your Honor.
So at this point, Mr. Vitangcol is still connected with the OTC, Mr. Chair?
Legally, technically, the relations are severed upon designation of a new GM of MRT3.
The relations are already severed, as you said. So, as far as you're concerned, he is no longer an employee of the DOTC. Ganun po ba?
Legally, the acceptance of the President is essential to the resignation, Your Honor.
So, he's still part of the DOTC?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, thank you for that. Now,
the interpreters are enjoined to stick to the two resolutions referred to the committee. We will tackle the other issues if referred to us later.
thank you for that, Mr. Chair, but I just wanted a clarification of the status of Mr. Vitangcol.
We can see that, but stick to the...
Now, Mr. Chair, the Attorney Vitangcol mentioned that he filed a perjury case in the Makati RTC with regard to the allegations of Ambassador Richter. May we ask that we be provided for reference with a copy of this of the case that he filed?
You have a
Is that
copy
possible?
of your sworn statements and documents where you filed a case against the Czech Republic Ambassador, Mr. Vitangcol? If you have one, kindly furnish us a copy. You can share another question while Mr. Vitangcol is...
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, because I think the committee would benefit to know what portions if any of the statements of Ambassador Richter are contested by Mr. Vitangcol. I mean, does Mr. Vitangcol totally reject the whole affidavit of the ambassador as being untruth, or there are some portions that are true and which are not, and this is the reason why we would like a copy of this of the case that you filed.
You have a copy of your
Mr. Chair,
sworn statement?
Congressman Tinio, I do not have a copy of that particular complaint affidavit right now, but Mr. Chair, in response to the question of Mr. Tinio, I refuted those portions which are perjurious in nature. So it's not an entire denial of the whole affidavit, but on a point-by-point basis, Your Honor.
In that case, can you furnish the committee a copy of those documents so we can look into this in the next hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, I will provide the committee, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, specifically in the affidavit, Ambassador Richter mentioned that on July 9 at the Carpaccio restaurant, July 10 in the office of Attorney Vitangcol, and again on March 6 that Attorney Vitangcol met with Ambassador Richter. Do you confirm these? Does he confirm these meetings to have taken place or not?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, not all of them, Your Honor.
And finally, just to wrap up for this round, Mr. Chair, could you just clarify the chronology of with regard to PH trams? When when did you first know of the when did you first become aware of the involvement of PH trams in bidding for the maintenance contract?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, this was way back in August of 2012 because they sent me a letter, and in this letter, they were inviting me and Undersecretary Lutilia to attend their presentation before MRT Corporation. So it was addressed to us, but they were saying that they will be presenting before MRT Corporation and they would like us to also view their presentation. So that was the time that we knew that they were interested in the maintenance contract of MRT3, Your Honor.
This was August 2012 was also when you first made the acquaintance of Mr. De Vera.
July 2012, Your Honor.
2012.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when did you become aware that your relative, the uncle of your wife, was also a director of PH Trams?
Your Honor, sometime in September of 2012, Your Honor.
So you knew of Mr. De Vera as early as July, and you became officially aware of the involvement of PH Trams in August, but you only became aware that your wife's uncle was part of the board of directors in September.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did the PH Trams get the contract, the maintenance contract?
Middle of September, Your Honor.
Middle of September.
Congressman. I'll go back to you.
Okay.
Second round.
September 2012 po yun, ano?
Yeah.
2012 din
Take
po.
note of that.
Thank you.
Congressman Barsaga, recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, just to assist
You are recognized.
Jim Vitangcol, the awarding date for PH Trams was October of 2012.
October 2012. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to clarify the issue because I was a little bit confused together with the public regarding the present position of Attorney Vitangcol with MRT. Last night, it has been broadcasted practically in all the major television networks that they were able to interview Mr. Attorney Vitangcol. And Attorney Vitangcol said he was not fired from DOTC, but he resigned. Right now, we want to hear from Attorney Bitangkol. Did you resign? Would you be resigning or not at all? So that we can clarify this issue.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, as I have mentioned a while ago, I was temporarily relieved based on the order issued by the department, and then I communicated to them my desire to resign, and I promised to provide them with a letter of resignation first thing in the morning. So last night I prepared my letter of resignation, and I directed my executive assistant to transmit the same to the DOTC first thing in the morning today, Your Honor.
And was there any communication from your assistant whether or not your letter of resignation has been transmitted to the DOTC secretary?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
It has been delivered to the DOTC this morning.
According to Secretary Abaya, your resignation will take effect only once your resignation has been accepted by the President. Was your resignation subject to the acceptance of the President, or was it an irrevocable resignation?
Your Honor, I do not know whether it will be accepted by the President or not.
It's very simple. You are a lawyer. When we make a resignation, my question is very simple. Did you make your resignation irrevocable or not?
Did you state in your letter?
That it is irrevocable.
Your Honor, I only stated there that I am resigning effective immediately, Your Honor.
Would it be a correct appreciation that if the President will not accept your resignation, you will again continue as the head of MRT?
No, Your Honor, because I have already signified my resignation, Your Honor.
So in other words, technically, whether the President accepts or will not accept your resignation, you will be out of MRT.
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
No, is that your position?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, according to you, the first time that you came to know Wilson de Vera was only in July 2012. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Based on newspaper reports, Mr. Wilson de Vera ran for mayor in Calasiao, Pangasinan. Do you know
Yes,
that?
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Are you from Calasiao, Pangasinan?
No, Your Honor, but he ran in May of 2013, Your Honor.
May
Almost a year
2013.
after, Your Honor.
What about your wife? Is your wife from Calasiao, Pangasinan?
Yes, Your Honor.
So they are townmates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Based also on published reports, on July 9, 2012, there was a meeting among you, SEC ambassador, officials of Inicon, and other persons. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
It's not correct. Did you have any meeting with Inicon officials and other persons?
No, Your Honor.
So, the newspaper reports saying that you had a meeting with the SEC ambassador on July 9, 2012 at Carpaccio Restaurant in Yacal Street is not accurate.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Or what's correct?
I never met with them on that day, Your Honor.
Has there been a denial made by you publicly about this allegation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you make... okay, I'll stop from there. With regard to this question of mine, is Mr. Maralik connected with the OTC, with MRT?
No, Your Honor.
He is not connected. What about Mr. De La Cruz?
He is not with MRT, Your Honor.
Not connected also?
But they are with the maintenance provider, Your Honor.
No. As of July 2012.
No, Your Honor, because they were able to get the maintenance contract.
No, it's not connected. Okay. As of July 2012.
No, Your Honor.
I wish to remind you, Attorney Bidangkol, that you are under oath. You be very careful with your answers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm aware.
Now, according to you, MRT is a private corporation. Based on your statement before.
Your Honor, let me clarify that.
Yes, that's why I'm a little bit confused.
Because there are several MRTs, no? MRT Corporation, that is a private corporation which owns MRT3. And then there is MRT3, which is an office under the DOTC, Your Honor.
Okay, so for the benefit of everybody, MRT3, which you headed before, and from which you resigned right now, is under DOTC.
Yes, you are correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Also, you stated that insofar as the contract between Piltrams and CBT and DOT and MRT3, that is a contract based on unsolicited proposal. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
Was it a solicited or an unsolicited proposal? Because that was the statement which I heard a while ago.
Your Honor, if I can elaborate on that. I mentioned a while ago that PH Trams made a presentation for an unsolicited proposal to MRT Corporation, which is not MRT3. And this was the first time that we were made aware.
Okay, let's clarify this. Insofar as the maintenance is concerned, will it be a contract between MRT Corporation, which happens to be a private corporation, or will it be a contract between MRT, the government agency, and the group of Piltrams?
The answer is again qualified, Your Honor.
Oh, what's the qualification?
Originally, the maintenance contract is supposedly between MRT Corporation and the maintenance provider, but they were not able to procure it, so DOTC decided to procure it for the benefit of the riding public. So the resulting maintenance contract will now be between DOTC and the maintenance provider, Your Honor.
Okay. When you speak of DOTC, will it be DOTC or will it be MRT3 under you?
It will be DOTC, Your Honor.
Did you sign in this maintenance contract?
As an end user, I am one of the signatories, Your Honor.
You're one of the signatories.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there are newspaper reports that this Piltrams was incorporated only 2 months before the signing of the contract. Is that correct?
Based on the news reports, Your Honor, yes.
Oh, did you verify these news reports, whether or not they are correct?
Your Honor, it was a joint venture agreement. Your
No,
Honor.
I'm just asking, did you verify these news reports? Right or wrong? No.
No, Your Honor.
No, you did not verify. So when was the first time that you came to know that this Piltrams was incorporated only 2 months before the maintenance contract? Hindi mo nalaman up to now?
Your Honor, I did not personally check the bidding documents, Your Honor. There was a group that checked the bidding documents, Your Honor.
Okay, yung ba ang inyong back, hinihingi ba ang articles of incorporation and the track record of prospective bidders in a contract involving almost $500 million pesos? Or they did not exercise any due diligence in making a background investigation of the corporations who presented that unsolicited proposal?
Your Honor, when it was the OTC's turn to procure the maintenance provider, it was not unsolicited anymore. Because it was...
No. Ang tanong ko, simple lamang eh. Chine-check nyo ba ang articles of incorporation at background ng mga proponents regarding a contract involving almost 1/2 billion pesos?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Dito ba ginawa niyo yung procedure yan?
I would assume that the members did that, Your Honor.
Your last concluding question for the first round, Mr. Vice Chairman.
I have still plenty of questions.
Yes. For
I
the
will
second
not
round.
make any concluding question right now. Later on.
Okay, thank you. The next proponent, the next interpolator, Congressman Vice Chair Gunlaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. I will direct my question to the Secretary, the newly appointed. Ito po kasing $30 million extortion issue. Napakalaking sa Pinoy government, ano. because it's a corruption issue which is against the policy of this government at Widadaan. So, when you assume DOTC Secretary, kailan po kayo nag-assume ng
October 18, 2012, Your Honor.
So, October 18, 2012. So, this issue with regards to this extortion issue, nasa inyo ng responsibility at that time?
Wala pa po. I have not heard of it. No. At that point in time, there were no reports in media when I assumed office that there was such an alleged extortion try.
There is already an affidavit signed by of these allegations by the SEC ambassador. Did you receive a copy of this complaint affidavit, Mr. Chair?
No, Your Honor. We invited the Czech ambassador to participate in our administrative investigation. He conveyed that he would rather participate in the NBI investigation. So I don't know what date he put there, but that would be the date where he executed that affidavit.
I have here a copy. It's October 7, 2013. Wala ko kayong nakuwang kopya nitong kanyang affidavit.
Wala po, Your Honor.
This was made publicly. Sabi nga, nasa NBI. Sabi nyo, nagkaroon na kayo ng investigasyon dun sa alleged extortion sa DOTC.
The administrative side, Your Honor.
Ano po yung administrative side ng sinasabi nyo? Administrative side. Culpability of officials under your office?
Yes, Your Honor. Devoid of the criminal aspect, Your Honor.
So, ano po yun? Ibig sabihin nun, anong culpability? Like, dito, ang allegations is, ang nag-extort is Attorney B. Tangkol, which is under your watch. So, ano po ang naging findings ng inyong team? Meron na ba kayong findings?
Well, yes, Your Honor. Kinunclude na po namin ito. Just to brief, it was a challenging investigation because there was no formal complaint. We were trying to investigate on what we saw on media. We immediately called GM Bitangkol. He came over, executed an affidavit. As you know, the other characters in the story are all private individuals. We have no summoning or subpoena powers. We invited them. It was all voluntary on their part. One of the private individuals came over, executed an affidavit. All others ignored us, including the ambassador. So given the data we have gathered, we found no basis to file a administrative case against Mr. Bitangkol. So we are eagerly awaiting the results of the NBI investigation. I think most of the juicy facts will come from the NBI investigation, Your Honor.
Another question. There are two contracts na involved dito, no? Yung una, yung maintenance contract, which has na interesado yung SEC, Unicon Corporations, ano? Tsaka yung supply contract on the coaches. Ito po ba yung sinasabi ng ambassador na there is an extortion issues?
I really don't understand the story of the ambassador. Which contract was he interested in? My impression, they really want to bag everything because they wanted a proposal to supply coaches, to provide maintenance, and wanted to do it by G2G. As to which...
Mr. Chair, did you not exert effort to get a copy of its affidavit? Kasi October 7, 2013 pa to, no? And this is very serious allegations with the Aquino government. So, hindi nyo kayo nag-exert ng effort to get a copy and to look on all these allegations kasi may involved din dito na mga government officials. And even yung ka-supply contract nyo ngayon, di ba, yung si De Vera, which is now a contract with the MRT3. So this, meron kayong connection dito sa mga taong ito. So, ibig sabihin kahit private person sila, because you have a contract on all of this, meron kayong, pwede kayong mag-exert ng effort to connect So, nag-rely na lang kayo kung ano yung binigay sa inyong mga ebidensya o affidavit. Then you conclude the contract na wala ka kayong ano. Ganun ba yung naging decision nyo?
Your first question is, did he exert?
Yes.
Okay, sagot lang po yun, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, Your Honor, we exerted all efforts. In fact, it bore fruit by Mr. Maralit himself showing up to DOTC. But all others didn't bother. I guess they found it to their best interest not to participate. Again, we could not subpoena someone. They could actually ignore us. Thus, NBI, we wrote them a letter to provide us copies of the affidavit. I have to check if they have sent us any. And whatever we have gathered from our administrative investigation, we have forwarded likewise to NBI.
So, na-conclude na nyo yung administrative ano nyo?
Yes, Your Honor.
May ano lang ako, bakit hindi nyo o nirelease Attorney Bitangkol during your investigation?
Your Honor, a few days or a couple of weeks after we heard of this and we conducted our investigation, Mr. Bitangkol voluntarily came over and filed for leave because he did feel that it would affect the image of DOTC. So he filed for leave. In fact, it went over the 15th day that he filed for. We extended his leave up to the point that, in fairness to him, we allowed him to assume work anyway. We were about to conclude our investigation, and due process dictated that without any evidence, there would be no reason to file any. And I think the NBI investigations should catch them all, Your Honor.
So, ang conclusion nyo, walang katotohanan yung extortion, allegation ng extortion ng SEC?
Hindi po yan yung conclusion ho namin dahil wala nga kaming basehan to make a conclusion because no one was really there. You have a affidavit coming from Mr. Bitangkol, an affidavit coming from Mr. Maralit. We would have wanted the ambassador to participate, but maski anong pagluhod ho namin, he wanted to go to the NBI.
Can we just get a copy of their report on their administrative investigation to be part of our records?
Can you give us?
Yes, Your Honor, we'd gladly provide.
Secretary, take note of that. Get a copy of the report of the office of the secretary in connection with that. You are done, Vice Chair Guanlao. So may we recognize at this stage the presence of Congressman Oaminal and Congresswoman Vice Sandra A. Sema. And at this stage also, since we have obtained a quorum, there was a motion which approval of which was deferred to dispense with the reading of the entire text of the minutes of February 25, 2014, and for its approval in toto. And since there is already a quorum of the members of the committee, the chair now officially approves the minutes of the meeting held on February 25, 2014. The next interpolator is Congressman Batucabe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I proceed, may I just be clarified from the Chair? Can you guide this representation, Mr. Chair, regarding the issues, the direction that we're going to take? What are the issues that we should ferret out in this hearing?
We have to stick to two resolutions filed before us, but with one focus only. The resolution number 107 referred to us, filed by Congressman Tobias, regarding the alleged 30 million extortion from ZEC company relative to the bidding to supply coaches in the DOTC project. In the same vein, House Resolution number 112 filed by Congressman Colmenares and Zarate with the same subject matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that clarification. Now, since you have made mention of these twin resolutions concerning this alleged extortion attempt, now both of these resolutions, Mr. Chair, mentioned about the involvement of DOT officials and MRT manager in trying to extort $30 million from
We use the word allege.
Allege, yes,
Allege.
Mr. Chair. Actually, this was also used by the resolution from the check-based Enicon group. And the Bayan Muna resolution particularly referred to Jose Perpetuo Lutilla, Rene Limcauco, Catherine Gonzalez, and Jaime Feliciano Gonzalez to be involved in this alleged $30 million extortion attempt. Now, I've gone over the affidavit of the Ambassador Rectar, and on page 3, second paragraph thereof, there is now the affidavit. There's the statement mentioning the alleged extortion attempt. And I think this happened at his house together with Mr. Husek and Mr. De Vera. Now, may I ask now the pertinent DOT officials?
For clarity, Congressman Batucabe, since we have each a copy of the signed affidavit and notarized already by the Czech Republic Ambassador, can we read that portion so that they will be able to answer very clearly?
Provided that it will not be charged to my time, Mr. Chair.
Yes, then
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chair.
will read it for you.
Yes. Page 3, Mr. Chair,
This is the
second
part.
paragraph.
This is the part.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You can proceed if you want, or the chair
The chair.
can.
Yes, the chair.
This is the second paragraph of page 3 of the affidavit of the Czech Republic Ambassador. And I quote, I was not part of the discussion which was held between Mr. Husek on one side and Mr. W. De Vera on the other side. I think all of us considered him to be an envoy of Mr. Vitancol, since he behaved like that at a official dinner. I am trying to quote verbatim. He went straight to the point of suggesting the payment from Inicon to secure the deal for them. I think everybody was surprised with the suggestion of Mr. W. De Vera. Take note, Mr. W. De Vera, which was 30 million USD. What I understood from the following discussion was that Mr. Husek tried to explain to Mr. De Vera that this request is so high that it could mean that the price of their product would have to rise up significantly. Mr. Husek explained that their price for one coach can reach to around 3 million USD. Even that price was critical for Inicon to have at least some profit to keep company in good shape. The requested additional and non-standard payment would cause the price to rise significantly. Close quote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Now, may I ask now our officials from the DOTC if they were present at that time this alleged extortion attempt were made? Because I particularly refer to, first of all, Yusek Lutilla. Can you confirm now before this committee if you were present at the time?
You are referring to who among the other
Yusek
secretaries?
Lutilla, Mr. Chair, because he was mentioned in House Resolution number 112.
Yusek Lutilla,
Yusek Limcauco,
and
Catherine Gonzalez, and Jaime Feliciano Gonzalez.
okay, let us give the opportunity first to Yusek Lutilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, I categorically deny, Your Honor, that of being party to any alleged extortion, Your Honor. And I think the record will bear me out, Your Honor, that the affidavit does not mention my name at all, Your Honor.
Yusek Limcauco.
Yes, I deny that I was there. And also the affidavit also doesn't mention my name.
Who are the other Yusek you mentioned?
Catherine Gonzalez, Mr. Chair.
You have the floor, Yusek Gonzalez.
Mr. Chair, I was not present in the meetings, and I was not mentioned. My name was not mentioned in the affidavit of the ambassador.
Proceed.
And there was still another name, Jaime Feliciano. Is he present here?
Your Honor, Asek Feliciano is currently on leave. He's not present, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Apparently, there's the denial of the pertinent DOTC officials. Moreover, they are not mentioned in this affidavit by the Czech ambassador. Now, this affidavit, the ambassador mentioned at least 3 names: De Vera, Maralit, and De La Cruz. At the center of the matter is Mr. De Vera. So, ito po ang hanapin natin. Sino po ba si Mr. De Vera? May I ask now our resource people, our resource persons here, who among you know Mr. De Vera? So, may I ask Mr. Bitangkol kung kilala po niya si Mr. De Vera at paano po niya nakilala to?
Your Honor, if I may, I know Mr. De Vera on a professional level only and not on a personal basis. I came to know him only when they started presenting their proposal way back in July 2012, Your Honor.
At this stage, may we recognize the presence of Congressman Fariñas and Congressman Bichara. We proceed.
So previous to that, you don't have any dealings with Mr. De Vera?
None at all, Your Honor.
But you know him from Calasiao, Pangasinan?
Mr. Chair, no, Your Honor, because I am not from there, Your Honor.
But your wife is. How about Mr. Maralit? How do you know him? How did you know him?
As far as I can remember, Mr. Maralit was accompanying the Czech ambassador during the first time that the ambassador made a courtesy call at the MRT3 office. I am not sure of the exact date, but when I assumed the position on January 2 of 2012, a few months after, the Czech ambassador made a courtesy call, and he was with Mr. Marolo Manalit, Your Honor.
How about this Mr. De La Cruz? Mario De La Cruz.
Mr. Chair, I was able to meet him also during the time that they were making the presentation for MRT Corporation, Your Honor.
Now, may I ask our DOTC official, who among you know this Mr. De Vera prior to July 2012?
Anyone can answer that?
Yung may alam lang po, yung kilala. So wala. For the record, Mr. Chair, none of our DOTC official knew Mr. De Vera prior to July 2012.
Yeah.
How about Mr. Maralit? Yes, Yusek Lutilla.
Yusek Lotilla?
Mr. Chair, let me just give a background po. I met Mr. Maralit po because he was a contractor po sa what is called the new Manila Air Traffic Control Center. And when we came into the DOTC po, Mr. Chair, one of the problems that we had to address po was the problem concerning the new Manila Air Traffic Control Center. And since Mr. Maralit po was the representative of the contractor, that was how I came to know him because we had to discuss po how to commission, how to test the new Manila Air Traffic Control Center po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But Yusek Lutilla, Mr. Maralit is not a contractor. He is merely an agent or an employee of a contractor or a fixer.
Mr. Chair, I believe po is a contractor because he was representing this Revere Construction, which was a contractor po of the new Manila Air Traffic Control Center.
So air traffic control, but he has no business with MRT for.
At that point po, I didn't even know that he was involved in rails or anything like that.
You have 1 minute more.
Okay, now my question now to Mr. Bitangkol. Where was the first time you were aware of this alleged $30 million extortion attempt?
Mr. Chair, I was made aware only when it came out in the newspapers a year after particularly on July of 2013, Your Honor.
So you mean to say at the time when Mr. The Czech ambassador together with Mr. De Vera had a meeting, you were not aware also of that meeting?
Mr. Chair, in between July 12 of 2012, in between July 2012 and July 2013, the Czech ambassador had several meetings with MRT in the office. They visited the depot, they checked on the status of the coaches, but during that time, from 2012 to 2013, he never mentioned anything about that, Your Honor.
By the way, there's a question. Is it all the usual practice for a country's ambassador to go to the office, let's say of a government agency in the Philippines, to follow up contracts of their nationals? Do you experience that, Secretary Abaya, or any of our officials from the OTC?
Well, from my short stint at the department, yes, they have a subtle way of doing it. They would say it is part of their mandate to push for their industries. But I've said this before, my personal interpretations of things when I met the ambassador a few times, he pushed harder than normal. That was my personal interpretation of things.
So in other words, it's not in the ordinary course of things. So is that so?
More of as compared to other ambassadors, he was a harder pusher.
Okay, considering that he is a harder pusher now, I asked Attorney Bitangkol, how many times have you met the ambassador from July 2012 and after you have allegedly learned about the extortion attempt?
More or less 3 times, Your Honor.
3 times. 3 times, and what are the things that you discussed on your first meeting, second, or the third? Can you tell this committee?
Your concluding question for the first round.
That's my last question na. Ayun na lang o. Kinikwento na niya yung 3 meetings. Ang 3 lang daw po ang naging meeting niya. From July 2012, from that alleged extortion attempt doon po sa bahay ng ambassador, tapos niya, sinasabi ho ni Mr. Bitangkol, Mr. Chair, may 3 meeting ho sila bago niya nalaman yung extortion attempt. So ang tanong ko po, ano ba ang pinagmimitingan nila?
We'll allow
Okay.
him to answer.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, he went to the office on July 10 of 2012 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Also on July 12 of 2012, this time together with the Inicon group. And on March 2013, Your Honor, together with, again, the officials of Inicon, Your Honor.
Discussing about what? Tinantanong niya.
On July 10 of 2012, they reiterated their interest to supply 52 units of coaches for MRT3. On July 12 of 2012, they submitted the proposal for the supply of 52 coaches of trains. And on March 2013, they visited the depot to check on the status of the facility, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The next interpolator is Congressman Owamina. Your turn. States, may we recognize the presence of my comadre, Congresswoman Alvarado, and Congressman Philip Pichay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have only one question to the Honorable Secretary. I can share my other time to my good friend, the Honorable Batocabi. Sir, Mr. Secretary, as a preliminary, I am asking this question to you because, you know, among the cabinet members, you are one of them, of those whom I idolize for your good leadership and performance in the office.
I'll check on the Osamis Airport immediately.
For the record, kahit hindi ako liberal, maraming development ng airport ko. Yeah. Sir, last night, although that was midnight when I tuned in my TV, I viewed your interview with Karen Davila of ENC TV station, and you were asked two questions, which is only answerable by yes or no. The first question you were asked, whether do you believe that Attorney Bitangkol had made that extortion attempt? And your answer is no. The second follow-up question is, do you believe that the ambassador was lying? And your answer was no. Being my idol, and you know, my constituents are also watching your interview, can you please make a further explanation on these two no answers?
With that question, I don't think he is your idol.
Your Honor, I just checked on the Ozamis Airport, so it's moving, Your Honor. But my answers, though it would seem inconsistent, is really synchronized and consistent. Given my character, I always give a person the benefit of the doubt that I should not hold any grudge, negative attitude towards anyone unless I have personal knowledge that he has done so. So that's how I treat Mr. Bitangkol, and despite all the headaches and all the time consumed out of these stories of the ambassador, I still give him the benefit of the doubt at the end of the day.
Thank you, Idol, for your great diplomacy.
Thank you, Congressman Waminal. Yeah, but we go first to the first round. Congressman Bello, your turn, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I ask some questions from Compañero Bitangkol, may I ask from the Honorable Chair if one of our resource person invited in today's hearing is a representative from the National Bureau of Investigation?
We do not have any.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alam niyo, napakahalaga yun yung presence ng NBI dito. Because if you will recall, itong affidavit complaint ni Ambassador, anong pangalan ng Ambassador na yun? Kugtar or whatever, was forwarded to the NBI. Caution lang po, I'm not appearing as counsel of Attorney Bitangkol. It is only the NBI who can now explain why, despite the fact that this affidavit was filed before the NBI about 6 months ago, Mr. Chairman, bakit walang action ang NBI? So I would like to ask the Compañero Bitangkol if the Office of the National Bureau of Investigation have summoned you and furnished you a copy of the sworn of statement of the Czech ambassador and asking you to reply to this affidavit complaint of the ambassador.
Before Compañero Bitangkol will answer the query of Congressman Bello because of your first statement. Just now, before we started the hearing, instructed the Secretary upon also her observation that since the NBI investigation with respect to this case has already been terminated and a report supposedly been submitted, I instructed the committee secretary if we can obtain the copy of the report preparatory to our inviting the NBI people about this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I was summoned by the NBI, I believe way back in November of 2013, Your Honor. And I submitted a statement to them. Also, I have provided them with some documentation just to prove my non-involvement and innocence of the alleged extortion trial. I tried to get a copy of the complaint affidavit of the Czech ambassador but I was not able to get one because based on the rules that they are citing, the respondents are not allowed to have a copy of the complaint affidavit. So I was able to get the document number, page number, book number of that particular affidavit, and then I went to the Regional Trial Court of Makati City to procure a copy of the same under the notarial register of Attorney Nicanor Jimeno. But upon search by the Office of the Clerk of Court, we found the book. It's complete in everything except for one document, and that document is the written statement of the Czech ambassador. So with that particular incident, we decided to go to the office of Attorney Nicanor Jimeno and then requested a certified copy from him. We were able to get a certified copy from him only on January 30 of 2014 this year. And that is the only time that I had a copy, which is a certified true copy, and which served as my basis for filing the perjury. I was not able to file any perjury case before because I have no document to base it upon. And it will be foolhardy on my part if I will be filing a case and basing it only on the accounts of the media and the newspaper, Your Honor.
Well, it will not be taken from your time, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Congressman. Congressman Salvacion is asking the time for a manifestation.
This representation would like to manifest that in the sense that the subject matter very much discussed today is the report of the ambassador. May I request, Mr. Chairman, that the lawyer that notarized this document be summoned and appear in order to attest and identify the signature as to whether the signature of this ambassador is correct, in the sense that the ambassador is no longer in the Philippines.
Okay, noted. It will not be difficult. Attorney Jimeno is a very good lawyer, the husband of Maring Linda, the father of Karen Jimeno. He will easily be available. Next hearing, he will be around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, kumpanyero, you were asked by the NBI to comment on the affidavit complaint of the Czech ambassador as early as November last year. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, yes, Your Honor.
And as you stated earlier, you submitted your counter affidavit. Is that correct, Mr. Panyero?
Mr. Chair, that is correct, Your Honor.
And up to today, kumpanyero, are you aware of any action taken by the NBI after the submission of the affidavit complaint of the ambassador together with your counter affidavit replying or answering the counter complaint affidavit of the ambassador?
I am not aware of anything, Your Honor, because I did not follow up on it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Panyero. You know, Mr. Chairman, at this point, I would like to state an observation, especially so that no less than the Secretary of the Department of Transportation and Communication came up with a statement that in order to conduct an administrative hearing on the case involving Compañero Bitangkol, he invited the NBI to attend the hearing. Is that correct, Mr. Secretary?
No, Your Honor. We were ahead of them. At that point in time, we were not privy whether they started. We invited all private individuals, all names mentioned in the media as regards this case.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. But what about the NBI? Did you invite them to that administrative hearing?
No, Your Honor.
Because, Your Honor, I'm making this manifestation because ordinarily, Your Honor, when a complaint is filed before the Department of Justice, that complaint is evaluated. And after evaluation, and the evaluation shows there is a need to further investigate based on the evidence presented, the respondents, the alleged respondent, in this case, Compañero Bitangkol, would be furnish a copy of the complaint and ask to countermand the complaint. And after the respondent, Panyero Betangol, files his counter affidavit, they are supposed to resolve whether the complaint has established a probable cause against the respondent. Pero apparently, wala naman. Biro mo November pa. Hanggang ngayon, ano na ngayon? Mayo na. More than 6 months. Kung bagay, ganyan ang ating justice system under the Supreme Court. Pero this also might go into the validity of the complaint of the ambassador, meaning wala sigurong katotohanan yung complaint ng ambassador, otherwise, ang ginawa ng NBI and the Department of Justice is to immediately find a probable cause against Compañero Bitangkol and then forthwith file the complaint in court. Pero dito wala eh. And he is a lawyer. Mr. Chairman, we are lawyers. Kawawa ang ating mga kasamang abogado na subjected to this kind of indignities on the basis of a complaint that apparently has not found any basis. Kasi kung meron sana, matagal na sana sinampahan ng anti-graft case si Compañero Bitangkol. Pero wala eh. So what is the import of this? Walang kaso against Mr. Bitangkol, Compañero Bitangkol. He lost his job, probably he lost his name, simply because of an ambassador na wala namang pakialam magpapawlap ng kontrasa sa mga departamento natin eh. Di ba? Yun lamang po, Mr. Chairman. So,
the observation is well taken. May we recognize now?
Nagpapatuloy po ang pagdinig ng House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability kaugnay po ng umano'y tangkang pangingikil sa kumpanyang Inicon para po dyan sa MRT project. At ito nga po matapos ibunyag itong si Sheikh Ambassador to the Philippines, Joseph Rictar, ang umano'y pangingikil ng tangkang pangingikil umano ng grupo nitong si Bitangkol na halagang $30 million para maipagkaloob sa kanila ang kontrata para po sa mga tren ng MRT3. At ito po tinanggi nitong si Bitangkol na nagsabing siya po ay nagsubitinan ng kanyang resignation. Pero sinabi po ni DOTC Secretary Abaya na temporary relief ang ibinigay dito kay Bitangkol matapos nga na magkaroon ho ng issue doon sa sinasabing pagkakaloob ng kontrata para po sa maintenance nitong MRT na nagkakahalaga ng halos kalahating bilyong piso. At sinasabing ang kumpanya, ang PH Trams, ay pag-aari di umano ng tiyuhin ng kanyang asawa. Dito po sa sinasabing tangkang pangingikil, isang nagngangalang Wilson De Vera ang naumano ay tauhan itong si Bitangkol. Ang sinasabing nagkaroon ng mga pakikipag-usap dito po kay do sa grupo nitong Inecon sa ito nga matapos ibunyag nitong si Sheikh Ambassador Joseph Rictar. At sinasabi naman po nitong si Bitangkol na hindi na po niya makausap itong si Wilson De Vera dahil doon sa mga lumabas na balita na ito po ay umalis na ng bansa. At sabi po kanina ni Bitangkol, tinatangka po niya itong tawagan sa telepono pero hindi na po niya ito makausap. So nagpapatuloy po ito at dito po yung sinasabi nitong si Bitangkol na 3 beses nga niya nakausap itong si Rictar, pero ito po may mga kinalaman doon sa paglilinaw kaugnay ng kanilang ninanais na kontratang makuha dito sa MRT3 ang pag-susupply nga po ng tren para dito sa MRT3. Antabayanan po ang mga detalye at mga development kaugnay po na nagaganap na pagdinig na yan dyan po sa Kamara. At yan po ang maiinit na balita sa oras na ito. Tutok lang dito sa GMA News TV para oras-oras. Alam mo, ako po si Susan Enriquez. Magandang umaga po.
Is for participation in the maintenance company.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, as far as I'm concerned, the only proposal that we received from them is a proposal to supply 52 additional new coaches for MRT3. The maintenance or the maintenance services for the MRT3 system was never mentioned, Your Honor. And I have a copy of the proposal which they gave to me, and it does not state in there the maintenance aspect, Your Honor.
But is it
It
correct
will not
that
be taken from the time of Congressman Ridon. I might forget it. The chair wants to ask Congressman or Mr. Vitangcol or Attorney Vitangcol. This representation read the column of Neil Cruz, I think a few days back, maintaining that the government earned and or saved several millions of pesos with the purchases made from one company, not from the Inicon. Can you explain that?
Mr. Chair, if we will be looking at the proposal of Inicon, the proposal of Inicon has a total cost of 174 million US dollars for the supply of 52 coaches. So if we divide 174 million by 52, their unit price will be more or less 3.355 million per car or per coach, 3.35 per car. Yes, Your Honor. However, the National Economic Development Authority or NEDA had approved a budget of only 3.0 million US dollars per car. So we can see now that the proposal of Inicon is actually over and above the $3 million per car ceiling as set forth by NEDA. And then we made a research and we looked at the train supplies all over the world on the last 10 years. These are actual deliveries, and we look at their prices, and then we average them. The average cost of any LRV would amount to only $1.8 million per car. That is based on the worldwide survey involving more than 30 suppliers in the last 10 years. So we recommended to DOTC Bids and Awards Committee to set an approved budget for the contract for the amount of $1.8 million per car only. And with that process, we were able to procure 48 additional coaches instead of the original 26 cars as approved by NEDA. Because when NEDA approved the project, the $3 million per car was computed based on 26 cars. So we get the total number, 26 times $3 million per car. That's the total project cost. And then we divided that with 1.89. We were able to get a supply for 48 new coaches. So with that, instead of getting only 26, we were able to get 22 more coaches with the new contract. And if you multiply 22 new coaches with the original price, then that means the government saved 3.3 billion pesos with the new contract, Your Honor.
Thank you. Proceed, Congressman Ridon.